Alright folks, welcome back to How to Write a Feature Article. Today we're doing one of the most important steps in writing an article, which are revisions. Revisions are making major changes and rearrangements to your article after you finish writing the whole thing. Here's my article down here. I've finished writing it. Now we can move on to the revising process. Just a reminder, when you're making revisions, this isn't editing. You're not making grammatical or technical corrections. You're just trying to shift things around to have your article address three major questions. First one is, does the article have a conclusion? Yes, it does. Here's my conclusion right here. It talks about the particular risk in e-cigarette, the increase in e-cig usage among young people and the particular risks associated with nicotine use and young people. Second question, does the article stay on topic? Now, I've scoured this article thoroughly, and I'm pretty sure at no point do I deviate away from the question I'm trying to address. E-cigs may pose a serious health concern to youth. At no point do I talk about the serious health concerns possible to middle-aged people or elderly people. I just talk about the health concerns toward young people. So the last question, do the main points of interest flow in a logical/comfortable way? Now with an article that might be lengthy or dense, there's actually a pretty great trick you can do to sort of get a better idea, or rather more quickly articulate your talking points. These three being my talking points. So let's move on to this article right here on CNN. Let's take a look at what this author did with his article. His is long, but what he did is he prefaced his major talking points with questions that the reader might have about his article. So, did President Trump obstruct justice? And he answers it right here, down here. Does Comey's book further erode the image of President Trump? And then he answers with the corresponding paragraph. So I'm going to take the same approach. So this is my first talking point, so let's look at the paragraph that precedes it. E-cigarettes do not have the tar that can be found in cigarettes. They rely on a solution called e-liquid or e-juice, which is a propylene glycol and glycerol fluid mixed with nicotine and artificial flavors. E-cigarettes vaporize the fluid, which is then inhaled or vaped. So a question that a reader might have is, isn't that safer than a regular cigarette? Alright, and then this paragraph right here answers that question. Moving on. This right here talks about how what parents can do to help keep their kids safe from the harmful effects of e-cigarettes. So if I were a parent and I were reading this, a question that I might have after I read this bit right here is, what can I do to keep my kids safe? Right? And then this paragraph will answer that question. And finally, with my conclusion and also my last talking point, it talks about the increase in e-cig usage among young people and also how nicotine usage in teens can have developmental effects, adverse developmental effects. So, a question that the reader might have, especially if it's a parent, is how might my kids be at risk? Now, right off the bat, what I see here is that, remember, we're addressing whether or not our article flows in a logical and comfortable way, and here's the problem. This right here talks about the dangers of e-cigs. This second paragraph asks, what can I do to keep my kids safe? And then this third paragraph asks, how might my kids be at risk? Logically, you'd assume that a parent would ask, what can I do to keep my kids safe, after they learned about the potential developmental effects of nicotine and young people. So what I'm going to do is something very simple. I'm just going to take this and swap them. I'll have this come first and this come second. And that way there's a more logical order to my talking points and the things I'm trying to address. Isn't that safer than a regular cigarette? Yep. How might my kids be at risk? Sounds good. What can I do to keep my kids safe? Now, one last thing you've got to quickly do is, does the article have a conclusion? Now that I flipped these, is this a viable conclusion? And I think it is, because it ends off on a note where parents can, ask what they can do to keep their kids safe after they learned about how e-cigs may be potentially dangerous. So this is how to revise your article. Stay tuned for editing. See you later.